Hey everybody, this is our Lab 3 demo for DSCI 560. Our team name is Third Derivative. Before we begin, we just wanted to quickly walk through our Lab 3 documentation. But if you'd like to read this into more detail, please reference it in our course assistant submission. We've linked our meeting minutes here. Just very briefly, we've documented what we've done each day of this week, and we've included photos to show that we did meet up to work on this assignment together. Um, when it came to data exploration, we used the Y Finance Python library as recommended in the lab instructions. The two distinct data access methods that we found were looking at bulk historical data and then looking at individual ticker objects. Um, for this portfolio management system, we ended up using yf.download for technical and practical reasons, which are listed here and can be read into more depth. When it came to tools, we did use Apache 2 as advised in the document in the lab instructions. We also used the MySQL server, and we utilized PHP as our web-based graphical interface for the database administration. This tool is probably the most helpful out of all of them because we could visually manage the database schemas and take a look at how portfolios are being built and accessed and edited. Um, Additionally, when we did do this lab, we ran into some significant challenges. Some notable ones include having to install the PHP into our VMs because we did have some difficulty with setting the permissions for database creation and logging into localhost. Another interesting one was having to think through how we would choose the attributes for our database, including things like considering intraday versus interday intervals, and deciding what kinds of metrics we should use. Um, and also at the end of this assignment, we will paste a screenshot of our GitHub commit updates just so you can see the progress that we've made throughout these past few days. With that being said, I'm going to pass the floor to Nirali, and she's going to share a little bit more about some of the steps that we took to write this assignment.
Great, let me share my screen. Mm, One moment. Yeah, so could you all see my screen? Yeah. So yes, this is our very first initial version of the code that we wrote. So we imported mysql.connector and yfinance for the data. So we used mysql.connector to connect to phpMyAdmin to populate the data into the database. One mistake we did was that we added our credentials right into this code while we should have made a .env file, which we have later on. This is the really initial first version. And so we have used the connector and then wrote SQL queries to create the tables for the user portfolios that can include the ticker symbol, the date, the open and close value, the volume value. And then this is the code to populate the portfolio with the data that the user chooses. And again, we have used SQL queries like insert, ignore, into, and then the different features that we wanted: ticker, date, open, close. So this was a really initial version. And another issue that we were facing with this code was that any user could get information from other users' portfolios, which is a security issue which shouldn't have occurred. And so that's why we iterated on this code and fixed those issues and finally came up with a better solution, which I'll now pass on to Steve to a bit discuss about our better final version of the code. Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully this is not too intensive. A lot of our discussion during, well, this was um this is gonna be a bit hard to explain, but a lot of our thoughts on like getting the code to work was split into like two sides. One is to get the PHP admin to work. The challenges will be documented probably somewhere in the in the the Google document file. The other one is this. We wanted to create like a refactor of the code we wrote as I well we technically we went through it and we found a bunch of security vulnerabilities and a lot of mistakes that quite frankly would just destroy our database. So we create this refactor together. This looks pretty, I assume. And we included a lot of the implementation tasks for like the versions that we created yesterday and then today. The final version will be here, but I probably should run you through some of the details that we did. I think some of the biggest ones were data, database migrations. We added a lot of like foreign keys. We oh we didn't add indexes. My bad. And we handle this by just deleting everything. So that works. The main part that we did though were core functionalities, which include like rewriting everything to include classes, um, redesigning the flow design because the previous flow was a bit confusing. Adding resolving time zone issues, adding some additional features, and yeah, all of this were planned out during Tuesdays and Wednesday, and then we wrote this, um, got some help, and all the details are here. It's probably going to be on the GitHub if you want to check. But anyway, so let's get to the main file. The connection has been improved by calling the .m file within the what do you call it? Um, within the README, you should see like something that says that you should have like the .m file that you should create on your own end. And I believe this is just a standard. We call the cursor and then comes authentication. Something that we realized during authentication is that hashing is surprisingly easy. This is like that's it. So we ended up implementing hashing and yeah, we just try to do we just try to get as close as we can to like a login process, which includes, having logins and registrations and whatnot. Um, then this part is for data validation. That's nothing interesting. It's just to check that, the ticker exists, the dates aren't violated. If you put a date in the future, it will like recheck and say that, oh wait, no, this is for the date format. Oh, so it's probably somewhere else. The validation of the period. This will be explained later down the line. And that's just fetching data, managing the whole portfolio. Yeah, there is a lot. I'm actually getting very surprised by what I wrote. This is surprising. Um, and here comes the SQL file courtesy of other people. I am not good at SQL. Um, we alter tables. We create and alter tables as needed. And here's the interface. This is mainly for readability and for like the users to not get overwhelmed. And yeah, and at the end of all of this is our main function, where we will call to database. You do require the .env. Um, you get to an authentication loop where you can register and you can log in. And then within the login, sorry, once you're logged in, you get to the portfolio manager, and then you can decide to either create new portfolios, view portfolios, select and manage as you wish. So, and then you get into like the whole creation or it should be portfolio managing flow, but yeah, you get into all of this. So this would probably be just, I wouldn't call this production, probably not even close. This would be somewhere close to what I would, you know, feel fine about, like what we can write. But there's one thing that I feel like we need to note, which I really hope is either here or is somewhere. Sorry. It's not here. So one of the limitations that were within uh like YF.download is that for shorter intervals, so any interval that's more than 1 day or what we call intradays, intraday data, we are limited to 60 days of period. So one of the decisions that you will probably see noted in the README is we ended up using periods and um, forcing the resulting data set to be read-only. And this is intentional because if you want to add another data set and use periods, it's gonna load from like the most current times. And so you can't match the timelines perfectly, which in my opinion causes enough of an issue where we force it to be read-only. For everything else that's interday, the dataset is no longer read-only. You can adjust either your start and end date or your or add tickers as you wish. Um, and most of our decisions beyond the CLI interface and the authentication are like strongly revolves around this particular like 20 to 30 lines of code. So, and you can also see a reference here. There you go. So a lot of it, this, like I said, this would be included somewhere in the GitHub, but I feel like I should mention this because it strongly influences a lot of the decisions we make. And oh yes, that's one more thing. Sorry. One more thing I should note, a really big challenge actually is how we decided to store like which data we decided to collect. So something that um Tanya first brought up and then Nirali like followed with was that while metadata from other like okay, for context, there's yf.download, which is here, yfinance.download, which includes everything here, and then there's yf.ticker, where you get some of this and then a lot of the metadata involved. The main reason why we didn't choose to include that metadata is because, in our opinion, we don't know what to do yet with the metadata, and we want to have more time and thought put behind what we can do. So this is actually going back to lab 2 where we ended up using ChatGPT to like parse off the data. This is something that we were unsure about this time around because first of all, the data is really big, and secondly, the get these function is not as helpful. So we wanted to put away the metadata for now, although this is something we will strongly consider. As for the metrics part, we decided to only use OHLCV, which is open, high, low, close volume, as well as adjusted close, because our belief, well, the thought process here at least, is that if we um most of the popular most of our popular either indicators or time series analysis only use those. Like we've looked into Ichimoku, we've looked into Bollinger Bands, RSI, moving averages, and well, ARIMA, obviously. And for all of them, there's nothing required beyond like OHL TV and adjusted close. So that is also why Nerali will probably show very soon. You will only see those, and maybe we will figure out something more interesting next time. But otherwise, these are the metrics we will use. Anyways, Nerali will probably show us the testing. Couldn't work on my computer for some reason, so.
All right, so I'll just share my screen now. Mm. So I'm just gonna run the code. Oh, oops, yeah. So this is the code. So as you could see, we ran it and now it has connected to the database and it's asking 3 options. So I'm just going to walk through as a demo of our project. So I'm going to register as a new user. So my username, I'm just going to say Ali, Ali, and then I'm just going to write my password and confirm it. Yay, I'm registered. Now I'm going to log in. So now it's asking for my username and the password. All right, I have logged in successfully. Now the portfolio manager is giving me 4 options to create my portfolio, view the portfolios that I created, and then manage them. That is like add or delete stocks and then log out. So let me try creating a new portfolio. Let me call it portfolio 1. Okay, let's just call it part 1. And then enter tickers for the stocks that I want to add. I'll say I'll add Apple, Google, and Nvidia for now. All right, now it is asking me for the timeline that is for the stocks, what interval I would want the stocks data to be in. So it's giving me the values that I could choose. I would want it to be per month. So 1MO. And then from what date to what date, I'll say from 2024, just from this date. And then it's asking the end date. I'll say until today. So I'm just going to press enter. Great. So I think my portfolio is created. Now I think I'm going to create one more portfolio. So let's just create one more. Portfolio 2. I'll just add 1 stock. Okay, I'll add 2 stocks for my second portfolio. And for this interval, I'm going to say every 30 minutes. So I'm going to add. And then the period, because as Steve had talked about, for intraday intervals, the max period is 60 days. So that's why it's only up to 60 days I could enter the values. I'm going to enter 30 days. Yay, so I created 2 portfolios. And now let's see, I would like to now edit one of my portfolios. So I'm going to enter 3 to select and manage my portfolios. And it has given me both of my portfolios, part 1 and part 2. So I would like to edit my first portfolio, part 1. And as I could see, it has given me the current stocks it contains, Apple, Google, and Nvidia, and has given me the different options I could choose to manage my portfolio, I could view the detailed data. I could add stocks, remove stocks, update the date range that we have given earlier when we were creating the portfolio. We could update it later. And then the detailed portfolio information, and then back to the portfolio selection. So let me see. Let me try to remove stocks. So I'm going to press 3. And I'm going to remove Apple. And yay, as we could see, Apple is removed and only Google and Nvidia stocks is left. Now let me add a stock. So I'll go on to, I'll add Fig stock. And yay, we could see that the Figma stock is added. So Figma, Google, Nvidia is the stocks that we have. Now I want to view detailed stock data. So I'm going to input 1. And we could see the detailed data of each of the 3 stocks, the close value, the high, low, and average volume data of the 3 stocks. And view detailed. For now, I do not want to see the details, so that's fine. And let's say I want to update the date range that I have given earlier. So let's go to option 4. And now I could enter the new start date I want. Let's say I want it from 2025. And I could enter the new end date. I'll say and yay, we have updated the date range of which data we want from. And so, yes, we could now go back to our portfolio selection. And yeah, we're back to our portfolios. If you want to create a new portfolio, view the portfolios, or select and manage portfolios. So yep, I think we saw a great demo of all the functionalities that our project is providing. And yeah, I think we're done. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Yeah.